Hi, I'm Tracy, and I'm here with Spike Cohen, and we are at the Oklahoma Libertarian State Convention. And can you just tell me a little bit about yourself?
Sure, Tracy, and thank you for having me on. My name is Spike Cohen. I am a business owner and libertarian activist. I was the vice presidential candidate for the Libertarian Party last year. I came in third, and I'm here at the Oklahoma Convention to help get Oklahomans in the Libertarian Party unified, get people coming out, and get them excited about running for local and regional and state offices so we can slowly take the city over and set people free.
Yes, and you were the first VP millennial candidate, presidential candidate, I believe, too.
I was the first millennial.
Yes.
You may look at me and think, man, you are way too old to be a millennial. But I'm actually, so millennials are those born after 1981. I was born in 82, so I'm like the first, I'm a millennial with male pattern baldness. And yes, I'm the first millennial to be on a major party White House ticket.
Yeah, so I try to tell everybody that. I'm like, hey, we were out there, we're trying it. You don't want these old white dudes. Well, here we go. We gave it, we gave it to you.
Yes, exactly.
All right, so last weekend we did a protest for cannabis. So currently our state legislator is saying they want to put caps on license.
Yes.
And they want to charge for more fees. So they want to double dip the patients. And we went in there and, we'll put it on with Tokelahoma and the Oklahoma Libertarian Party, but most of our cannabis industry here are Democrats. And so how do I get them to understand our views and try to help us kind of take over the state? Because I think Oklahoma is a libertarian state. I really do.
You know, the reality is, and speaking broadly, most people are libertarian and don't realize it. Most people want to be left alone to live their lives and are largely okay with other people being left alone to live their lives as long as we don't do anything to hurt each other or take from each other, right? So, but to your question specifically, with it's 2772, I think it's called, the 2272, the bill that's coming up. Let's be very clear about what this bill is, Tracy. This is cronyism. So the purpose of increasing the fees and putting a cap on licensing requirements and increasing the amount of revenue that has to be created for you to be allowed to renew your license. The whole purpose of that is to allow for, instead of having what largely is here now, which is a fairly free market in cannabis dispensaries and people selling cannabis and things like that, it's going to be where you have a small handful of companies that have control of the entire industry. They're the ones pushing for this. This is what happens. When something starts making lots of money, the top producers in that sector go to their favorite politicians and say, hey, listen, if I fund your campaign and make sure that that you're the most well-funded politician, maybe I throw you some kickbacks too, you put in some restrictions in place and raise the barrier of entry so I don't have to deal with a bunch of upstart competitors. It's just me and the main other players that are here, and they're basically creating a cartel.
Yes.
Right? Like it's not going to be a violent cartel because it's not completely in the black market. But by doing that, it also drives up the prices because that increased fee is going to be reflected in the price, but also the reduced competition is going to be reflected in the price. And the higher up you make that price, the more likely you create a black market too. Because if a black market can provide that same thing, in this case, cannabis, at a much lower price than can be provided in the legal market, now you're bringing the black market back, which was the whole reason for getting rid of, ending the war on cannabis to begin with. So, the reality is, the best way to reach out to Democrats, or Republicans or anyone else, is to show how these bills, the purpose of them is for government to use power to enrich the cronies that put them in office. And it's going to happen whether it's with Republicans or Democrats, because the reality is they are all part of the same Republican system they've created, which is basically just a shell game whereby you have two parties that pretend to be opposed to each other. But the reality is they work together every single day to make your life harder, to increase your cost of living, to make every single aspect of your life more difficult, for no other reason than to make the cronies who put them in office richer. It's a giant shell game. It's a con. And this con only ends when we don't let them con us anymore. We have the power to kick all of these clowns out of office, take all of that power that they stole from you, all of that freedom and money that they've stolen from you, and put it back in your hands where it always belonged. And there's only one party that's fighting to do that, and that's the Libertarian Party.
You're exactly right, and that's what they told us. That's what one of the state representatives cannabis. And the guy is that put it up, the author is from Grove, and he said he had one person come up to him and say, you know, he wanted to close the cannabis industry and kind of do things. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's exactly the person lining your campaign, lining your pockets.
Yep.
You don't care about the 300,000 patients, you know, and the young industry, small businesses. And this is a constitutional conservative. No, you're not. You're a rhino. That's what you are.
Exactly.
And it's you know. So thank you so much for this. I appreciate your time. And you know, you said exactly what I was saying, but such in more of an intelligent manner.
That's why they hired me.
Yes.
Listen, this is why, and no, well, first of all, you said it in a very intelligent manner. And I just, one final appeal I want to make, and Tracy, thank you so much for having me on. The reality is, whether we're talking about cannabis or any other substance or any other peaceful action, it is none of the government's business what you put in your body and what you do, what choices you make, especially if we're talking about choices for your health, choices for pain relief, choices for you know, getting off of addiction to harder drugs, whatever reason, or even just having fun. Whatever reason you're using cannabis, it's none of the government's damn business. And not only is it none of their business, but they shouldn't be making any money off of it either, because they're not the ones that are actually producing and supplying it to you, they're just skimming off the top. So as libertarians, we believe that in order to have a truly free market on cannabis, we need to get the cronies out of it as much as possible. So this 2272 and even the current licensing requirements that they have in place, there is no reason that government should be getting in between you and your ability to seek the treatment that you want to. And I appreciate it again so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Bye. Have a good day.